So I started doing another mashup drawing, and the theme is very interesting this time. This is profanity in movies. So when done, the final drawing will have all these little references to memorable instances of swearing on film. Now, I obviously won't be reading out the exact lines of dialogue, but then if you've seen the movies, then you know which lines of dialogue I'm referring to. If you have not seen the movies, then I'm tracking the movies down and then identifying the lines of dialogue is left as an exercise to the viewer. So I've started with three very memorable instances of profanity in movies. This is Benicio del Toro as Fenster from The Usual Suspects, and this is from the lineup scene in the beginning of the movie, which is one of the funniest scenes in the movie. This is Bruce Willis from Die Hard 2. Actually, I could have used a picture from any of the Die Hard movies, but then I decided to do this. This is from the final scene where he throws a cigarette lighter and then blows up a plane.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
And speaking of planes, this is Samuel L. Jackson from Snakes on a Plane. And the line in question over here, the line of dialogue, was apparently added to the movie on the insistence of fans. Right, I've added three more pictures. This one is Amanda Plummer as Honey Bunny from Pulp Fiction. Now, Pulp Fiction was definitely going to be on this picture, and there was a lot of stuff to pick from, but I went with this. This is from the opening of the movie and really sets the tone of the movie. This is Eric Cartman from South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Now, this is a very, very interesting choice because it's the first time I'm seeing profanity used as a weapon in a movie. The story goes like this. There's a chip installed in Cartman's head which is supposed to shock him whenever he swears. But then at the end of the movie it malfunctions, and instead of shocking him, it sends out bolts of electricity. So that becomes a weapon against Satan's forces of evil. It's very creative, so that's why I put it over here. This is Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock, from the Doom movie adaptation. Now, this is not such an obvious choice, but then the reason it is here, it's because the line which he says, it's really memorable, and it's probably the best line in the entire movie. The one in the corner here, this is Sherry Moon Zombie as Baby Firefly from Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. This is Joan Allen as Warden Hennessey from the 2008 Death Race movie. Now, the reason I included it here is that it's an interesting line of dialogue which he says, and notable because it doesn't make much sense.
Hello, Eric. I want to play a game.
This one is Donnie Wahlberg from Saw 2.
This is Donnie Wahlberg as Eric Matthews from Saw 2.
Again, this one is an interesting example of a line of dialogue which is used 3 times, if I'm not wrong, in 3 different films in the Saw series. So it's originally spoken at the end of Saw 2, and then it appears in the beginning of Saw 3, and in a flashback sequence in Saw 4. And if I'm not wrong, I think it might be there in Saw 5 also.
Oh yes, there will be blood.
This is actually Chris from one of the puppets from Team America World Police. The reason I included it here is that this character has a bunch of interesting dialogues in the movie, and some interesting swear words are used here also. This one is Wesley Snipes as Blade from the movie Blade, and this is from a very interesting scene in the movie. It appears towards the end of the movie where Blade is fighting the villain of the movie, Deacon Frost, played by Stephen Ross. Now what happens is there's a sword fight, and Blade cuts Deacon Frost in half, but then by this time Frost has harnessed the power of La Magra, the blood god, so he's an all-powerful vampire, and the two parts of his body joined back together. And at this time, Blade is shocked. So he turns towards the camera and does this. That's an interesting example of swearing where he doesn't actually say anything, but then the point is brought across. So that's why I included it over here. And as you can see, I've actually put in a bunch of notes over here to explain what the various lines of dialogue spoken by these people are. But here's a closer look. Hand me the keys, you fucking.
Oh, yes, there will be more